You know, fun is fun, but you also need to set goals in life.
There's a lot of interesting people in the Bay Area. In fact, in Saratoga, there's a man that builds rockets in his backyard.
Interested in rockets even when I was a teenager. I was interested in rockets, girls, and airplanes in that order. So I wanted to go to the moon, or at least be part of getting to the moon. I set about rather deliberately to become good in the rocket business. In fact, to create the rocket business.
A teenager, were you planning on being an astronaut?
Well, I had thought about it. I think when I was younger than a teenager, probably around 7, 8 years old, I wanted to do that. Basically, I'll have control of the video cameras, so I'll be doing the photography, and also manual control. So if something goes wrong on one system, then I'll have manual backup on it.
Started rather gradually. Really got started with my finding on a scrap heap some rocket engines that I could buy for a song. And it took me some time to figure out something useful to do with them. Actually, what I decided finally to do with them was to continue a program I had started many years before, but never had a chance to finish. So I picked up where I left off with a concept of making a launch vehicle that was big, simple, and reusable. And the purpose of this first rocket that we're building around these particular engines is to demonstrate that we can launch and recover repeatedly at rather low cost. Well, sometimes I wonder where I am today exactly, but I must admit I've had a most enjoyable career, and I'm still enjoying it. I set about rather deliberately, because when I was a teenager, there really wasn't any. There were a few amateurs experimenting, and I think the only person in the world who was financed at all was Dr. Robert Goddard, who was working under a grant from the Smithsonian. So I began to prepare myself by studying all the mathematics I could get, even though I hated it, and engineering. I even took typing because I felt that I was going to have a use for that. I didn't like that either. But I took it. I find that most things become progressively more interesting the more you know about them. And actually probably almost anything, once you know enough about it, becomes interesting. And it gets more and more and more so until finally you get so involved you can't quit. Witness many of our local teenage computer whiz kids. So that I certainly would advise all teenagers nowadays, learn as much as you can while your brains are still not set in concrete, while they're still fertile enough so that you can. I'll tell you this, it gets harder as you get older. I haven't learned anything the last 20 years.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Ignition light is on. Ignition light is off. Open propellant valve. Pressurize. There she goes.
Bob Truax is really a remarkable person, and Phil Peters is really going to go far.
There's a lot of planning that goes into building a rocket. Without supercomputers, we'd never be able to do it.